All right, well, let's do it. We're going to call this meeting to order. Welcome to everybody. I haven't seen anybody since the New Year passed, so Happy New Year to all, even though it's a few weeks ago. And it's great to have everybody here. I think we've got the full house. Everybody is here from the committee for the first time in a while, which is really nice. So let's call it to order. And once again, thank you very much, Jay, for doing the minutes. I did not have any comments, but if were there any comments we'd like to discuss? Or
I have to add something that Linda made. To be honest, I lost about 5 minutes of the meeting because of my Wi-Fi last time. So there are definite gaps there. But Linda filled me in on some things that needed to be added. So I will add those to the draft.
Okay, great. And what was it, just so we know?
Go ahead, Linda. I think you're muted.
I think you're muted. Yeah. You're muted, Linda.
I know.
Forgot I was on mute. Sorry. Classics. Yeah, we had had two reports at the meeting. The one was the Sustainable Fairfield Task Force, and Mary had also given on the Forestry Committee. So I just broke those out and added a little more context to the Sustainable Fairfield Task Force. So just expanding the discussion a little bit.
And I will elaborate.
Okay, thank you very much. And can we approve them? And then we'll just post them next time.
Provisionally, yeah.
Approve with changes.
Approve with changes. Anybody want to make a motion for that? Sarah has made a motion, seconded. Mike, and then all in favor, we'll just raise our hand to approve the. All right, wonderful.
Great.
All right, great, thanks. So for the introduction, I forgot to delete the committee member updates. I shouldn't have done that. I don't really have anything. It's been kind of a quiet period from my standpoint, but I do know there's been probably some outreach and things going on for a lot of you guys. So I think we're just going to launch right into it, and we'll start with Bill. And Bill, you're right at the beginning with the engineering update.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you.
Okay, good.
Your office is looking very neat and tidy.
Yeah, sort of. Anyway, I just want to let everybody know I just submitted 14 points for various budget items, some of which are like guide rails, a new bridge, but there was one that I did roadway safety improvements, and basically it was from various neighborhoods, of which a couple of them were listed in last month's meeting: Old Post Road, Pequot, Wilson, and just trying to, it's very frustrating when you meet with a neighborhood and you only have limited options because you have no money. So I'm requesting money for a traffic signal management plan, maybe up to 4 RRFBs somewhere in town. I have a couple of ideas, maybe 1 or 2 radar feedback signs. And then, I don't know, maybe I put in like $12,000 worth of sidewalk handicap improvements, $50,000 for like roadway intersection improvements. So, depending on where things go, at least it will give DPW some money to make, some improvements as we go along. So hopefully that will be heard in February or March. And I hopefully we'll get support up for that. So as far as Post Road grass smear, we have hired Malone McBroom to do the consultant work. But we haven't really got started on that one. For Kings Highway Phase 3, I was a little bit surprised the state came back with some comments, so I have to address them before we can proceed with that grant. I submitted for that 14 points also the Blackrock Turnpike study. One of the short-term goals was about $2 million for sidewalk pedestrian improvements and maybe even a hawk signal on Blackrock Turnpike. And the Southport connectivity and the Stratfield, Four Corners projects are now going into the semifinal stage. The latest on the Stratfield Four Corners. We had received comments from the bike and ped group. I think they were able to address most of them. The one we're still working on is only that 100-foot section by the mobile station where it has to be a sharrow at this point. But everything else, I think we got the 4-foot clearance that's desired for a shoulder, and I can share plans with that with the committee once I know they're established. So that's, I think, the update. If I forgot anything, let me know. Sure.
Bill, can I ask a quick?
I have a question too.
Oh, let's do
I'm
Karen
Laura,
first.
we
wanna go-
probably have a similar one. I want to know where we ended up with that, the median that they wanted to put between Jay's Mobile and the Goddard.
Yeah, they're the SVA and some of the members of town are really pushing that along. What we have done is that we did reduce the width of the median to provide on the I guess that'd be the east side, the full amount. There should be no problem there. And I think for a lot of the approach, it's only from the mobile where that's where you have to have the sharrow. So,
But so Bill, that means,
yeah.
so no one can take a left-hand turn out of the Mobile, and then who's going to maintain that?
Hold on just a second. If I, it's on my desk, my other desk. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
So it's a median on Fairfield Woods or a median on Stratfield Road?
It's Stratfield Road, but it's literally in the center where
Yeah.
there's a mobile where the
Yeah,
traffic
I know
comes
the
in
neighborhood.
and out on that side. That I think is going to be a big traffic issue.
Yeah, and that mobile is potentially gonna be redeveloped as well, so that may play into it. Even if we have something, it might change. It may change for the better or the worse. I have not seen any plans for that. But there is gonna be a break. If you can see it here. If not, I'll have to learn how to do things a little bit better here. Right in. Let's see.
Bill, while you're doing that, can you explain what you mean by just sharrows?
Right. Right over here. And again, it's kind of hard to see because I think it goes backwards on the plan. But right in here, right from the pretty much from the mobile frontage, definitely in front of their middle driveway. It would have to be a sharrow with one of the main lanes there. Hopefully, a lot of times there's going to be a red light there. When it's a green light, it looks like there's going to be at least maybe 2-foot shoulder area. And if someone is biking and there's nobody in the left turn lane, they'll be able to swing around. But that's what we have so far. Rather than try to send, I will send this to the committee so you can see it. I'll scan it or get a PDF of it and send it to the committee. It will show the sharrow and it will show where the lines are. And that other pinch point that was just beyond where Bill Pollock lives and Maloney's, they were able to straighten that out. So. As I said, that was the only one that we couldn't quite solve both ways without getting rid of the median, and we couldn't get the median and the full 4-foot lane. Now, if the mobile comes in with a proposal, I'm definitely going to use the bike and ped comments where if there's a way, or if the state or if the town, makes them maybe move everything over 2 feet, or that we're able to get an easement from them, depending on what they're doing. If there's some sort of drive-through, then that's going to give us, I think, a lot of power to say we won't approve it unless you grant us a, 2 or 4 foot easement where we can widen that section of roadway to put in a bike route. But I can't promise that because I don't have any idea what the proposal is.
You wouldn't actually put in a bike route. You would just put in a wider shoulder.
What was the first part of that?
You wouldn't actually demand a bike route. You put in a wider shoulder.
No, we'd probably widen the road 2 more feet so that we could get to 4 feet.
Yeah, because right now, as it stands, a cyclist would have to be in the lane.
Right, and they
lane
they're
for the
gonna have
vehicles.
signage that they're going to say bikes can use full lane or something like that. But I mean, that helps a little bit, but we all know it's not ideal.
Well, it's not safe.
Well, there's a lot of spots all over that have that kind of situation. And the argument that a lot of people have made is with the median, they expect the traffic to slow down, as opposed to with no median, the speeds they think will be as what they are today. So there is some safety component with that.
The traffic is slow at that point in the road anyway, because there's a light and it's usually backed up. So it's not really going to affect speed in that particular spot, but it will require cyclists to use the lane, and that'll be uncomfortable for both the cyclists and the cars.
Right, and if we were to widen it out, or even as I said, with the mobile widening it out, the pedestrian crossing then is longer, and that's the thing that I always try to balance, but it's pretty hard sometimes, and that is, you widen the road, you make the pedestrian crossing longer, even though it's, a bike route. And we have the bulb outs in, I think, 3 of the 4 corners, maybe even the 4th one. So, but I'll send this, the latest plan. I just got it earlier in the week, and I haven't even fully looked at it. But I will send it to the, I don't know, Keith, you want me to just send it to you and you distribute it, or? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll do it that way.
I'll send it to me. I'll send it out to everybody. Hey, Bill, just real quick question. You mentioned a couple of acronyms that I've not heard before, like RRFP somethings, or it was like when you were listing out some of the things you were.
Yeah, that's they're in Bridgeport, and I think now we have them near Sacred Heart and Notre Dame. It's a pedestrian crossing with usually a solar panel on top, and then underneath the pedestrian, there's a wigwag kind of rapid pulsating yellow light that is an indicator so that traffic knows that there's pedestrians that are crossing. They have them in Blackrock. I know they have them by the Peabody Museum in New Haven. At a lot of the universities, WestCon, Southern Connecticut, I think, have them. And as I said, there's the one in on Jefferson Street, I think in between Notre Dame and Sacred Heart. I know one was proposed there. I believe it's been installed.
I don't think it's there yet. I'll have to take a look. I was just there yesterday.
Yeah, you
I'll have to look, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I know
no
it was
people crossing
proposed.
the
I
street
just
right
don't know
now
if they
because
put
students
it
haven't
in.
returned.
Right. And then the radar feedback sign was the other one. And that's the one where you have the speed limit sign and then there's a digital sign that tells you your speed.
Yeah.
And there's 2 varieties. One just kind of tells you the speed. The other, it will cut off at a certain speed so that you don't get to be like a radar and a pitching machine where you have to see how fast you can go. And then, although I have to admit, I and this is off the record, there is one manufacturer that kind of does a blue and red pulsating light, which resembles a police car, if you know what I mean. That one seems to get more respect, but I'm not sure if it's been approved by our state or federal government, if you know what I mean. So.
Well, those are, I've seen a couple of them, Yeah. I was just saying the couple that I've seen, like the one that goes down towards Jennings Beach, that's been there for a while. That's, it's definitely, it picks up the speed from quite a far, amount of distance. And I always notice, even myself, it's like, okay, I'm at 31, better, take your foot off the gas. And I think it definitely does, it just reminds people, which is always good.
Right. And then the goal here, and I checked with the police department, they did not put it in their budget. I was going to try to get maybe 2 mobile ones and then that way you can spread it out more rather than a permanent location. And I mean, it might not. I mean, there's pros and cons. When it's a permanent one, it's always there, but then it becomes part of the, I'll call it street furniture. You know, you kind of get used to it. While the ones that are rotating, you know, one day it's there, one day it's not, and then the next day it's there again. And sometimes I think those have more impact, but they're not always there. So.
Definitely. Bill, just a quick question from, you know, we know that Gary Wickman is not really able to do a lot of the Zoom meetings. Would you happen to know of anybody else on the police department that might be able to come to the meetings on a more regular basis while they're virtual?
I can check on that. Gary did confirm he's in the, I guess, investigations division. And so he is swamped. Matter of fact, it's the first time I heard from him in probably a month myself, when we used to call at least weekly. And so I said to him, "Oh, are you still going to the meetings?" And he kind of said, "No, I'm not really having the time." So I could check with Captain Terzi, and perhaps one of the lieutenants or sergeants could maybe attend. Because I agree. Even if it's every other month, for some reason, you know, just having somebody there from the police side is always good to make sure they're on the same page as us, act as a liaison for if we have to go to the police commission. And, you know, some of the things, you know, you can engineer, but others, it takes enforcement or some other issues. So
yeah,
that's a good point, and I'll see if I can get them.
Yeah, even if there was like maybe a younger member of the force that, you know, that I've seen some of the bicycle police out every now and then, maybe somebody that, you know, wants to be part of the group, you know, that way. I think it would be very important to have a representative.
Yep.
So yeah, if you know anybody, I think Karen was also going to reach out as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
All right, any questions for Bill? All right. Well, I did mention that that Santina couldn't make it today, and we don't have any other people for the police right now. Bill, while you're here, I'm going to skip over some of the assignments real quick, if you don't mind, everybody. And I wanted to just go to some of the complete streets improvement section where we talked about Pequot Ave, Old Post Road, Churchill, just because we have Bill here with us as well. And so maybe, I'm not sure if anybody had any chance to reach out. I did get an email from Judith Proctor just saying thanks for having her come to the meeting, and they're still working together as a group. That was Pequot Ave, Old Post Road. I think maybe Ann might have some comments as well. So I'm just going to kind of turn it over to whoever wants to raise their hand and start and make sure that Bill can hear any of the progress as well. I'm not sure. Ann, are you attempting to? I think she's turning on her mic.
Hello? Sorry.
We got you.
Yeah.
Hi, Ann, we can hear you.
Okay. I reached out on email to the guy whose name I can't remember. I think it was David. He spoke last time, but I never heard back from him. So that's a reminder. Maybe I'll try again. He was talking about Old Post Road, but in the time since that meeting, I've been trying to get talking with neighborhood and trying to get some ideas of what they would and wouldn't approve of in terms of traffic calming things. And Bill's been helpful in setting up a conference call with interested neighbors and engineering the town. I think we're set for this coming Tuesday. Is that right, Bill?
Tuesday, right? Yep. And I do have, and that might be somebody who maybe I can convince to join our group. I want to get it right. I believe it's Lieutenant Broderick, Keith Broderick, and he's a member of the traffic division, so he'll be there at that meeting. And so that might be a perfect opportunity to invite him to the bike and ped group if he's willing to do that.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, that'd be great. Here we've there's a there's a big hesitation with a lot of things in terms of maintaining the historical character of the
Right.
corridor, but it's also had a lot of accidents. So, people are kind of really trying to juggle what they will and won't do. But I think this call is just to go over with Bill, like what's possible, and like think and learn about what's actually. So hopefully we'll get at least a conversation going and having people understand what we could possibly do to make it a little safer around here.
And yeah, real quick, I mean, just a perfect example of that RRFB that I was talking about, where it's a pulsating light when somebody hits it to cross. They're pretty effective in reducing crashes. Obviously not 100%, but still a major improvement. But again, is the area or the residents going to want that located in a historic district? That's one of the things where, the town would present something, and then we'd have, get some public feedback from the group as an example.
Right. Yeah. There's some pushback into flashing lights and
right.
Giant signs. It's understandable. Do a lot of there's a lot of maintaining the character work that goes into the historic district. So, but I think there's a balance, and people are ready to have something done because we all walk and bike and everything around here, and definitely feel the pressure of the traffic. So we'll see.
Okay, I think Sarah.
Yeah, good.
May I say something? So yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that with Old Post Road and the historic district. And I don't know if you guys know that I have a background in historic preservation. It was actually my first job out of college. Was working for the Bristol Historic District Commission in Rhode Island. And I also have a master's degree in historic preservation. So I get where they're coming from with wanting to maintain the character of the street. That's clearly very important. But I think an argument can be made that increasing the trade-off of having, one of these pedestrian crossings with flashing lights, or increasing, changing the road design to make it safer, is that from my historic preservation perspective, you're actually maintaining more of the historic character if you're increasing people's ability to walk and bike there, because let's be honest, most of the buildings on that street were built, the character you're trying to preserve existed before cars. So, so to bring in these elements, the trade-off of bringing in these elements is actually, in my opinion, retaining more of the historic character, because you're trying to reflect the time period prior to cars. And so bringing in more people by bike and walking, I feel, supports the historic character of the neighborhood. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I really like that comment, trying to preserve an area in the time before there was motorized transportation. I think that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, like why are we trying to make it, making it more convenient for cars is not preserving the historic character, because that street, the reason people love it is because of the it's from a time before cars. So
yeah.
Anyway.
And I think that we've seen, just even like I mentioned to Nate wasn't here last time, but we had like 9 people on the call that were not part of the group last week. It was one of the largest attendances we've ever had. And it just seemed that, there's a number of people that were concerned in their areas about the safety and the accessibility of the road. So I definitely think there's a groundswell of interest in trying to do things to make these roads safer and make them more accessible to everybody. And I think this is the time where we try to be bold and make some suggestions to do just that. And, we've talked about this a number of times. I think, the intersection by the YMCA, that's come up multiple times. And every time I'm down there, there's roving bands of children that, are coming out of the middle school, and they're wanting to walk around there. And those are exactly the people we would like to have use that road and be doing it safely. So, So that's next Tuesday, right? And that you're going to be talking, is it the residence area?
Yep, at 11.
Okay. Did anybody have a chance to reach out to the Pequot Avenue study group? I know Anne originally said she was going to be part of that, but I think, definitely taken on a couple of projects. But yeah, they're a very interested group as well. They've got probably 4 or 5 people and then some together, and I think they're meeting. And so if nobody's had the opportunity or, had Sarah and Laura down for that one, if there's anybody else that wants to
Is that Judy
connect with them.
Crockett?
Yes.
I'm having a Zoom call with Judy next week.
Oh, great. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And I have, after Ann's meeting, I'm meeting with Judy as well, Judith as well, for Pequot. So at 11:30, I think. So.
Oh, great. Okay. And then you said Tuesday was the Old Post Road.
Yeah.
Right. And then right after that one is Pequot.
Okay, good. I put down
and
here
we
the
have a
Churchill
hotline
Wilson.
already for a couple of people with Wilson Street, so
Yeah, Wilson Street's already kind of moving along. I do apologize. My internet seems to be kind of cutting in and out here, so I hope you guys can all hear me, or if not, see me. I'm gonna stop my video for a second. All right, was there any other projects or anything else that came up that anybody wants to bring up? Any areas of town? Anybody have a chance to reach out with anybody? Or all right, well, we're moving forward.
Now, Keith, with when you mentioned Santina, I think in one of the emails, or maybe from the note from the minutes, is she was looking for solicitations. Maybe it'd be nice to submit something in March so that we can get the process going. It was about, again, another $10,000 grant.
Mhm.
So if anyone bike or pedestrian ideas, let the group know and let Santina and I know as well.
Okay, could these Pequot Avenue or Old Post Road be, can it be available to that area or?
I don't think there's any restriction. We've kind of spread it around. If I recall, years ago with Mill Plain Road, we did Pequot, but that was more towards the center of town and Mill Hill Road. We did the bike shoreline, bike route there, and library to library, I think, was one. So we've kind of, and then Wilson Street, the one little section there by Sarah's house. So, we have, darted around. So I think that's a pretty good grant where as long as we, I think, encourage some physical activity to reduce heart disease or something like that, I think it's eligible. But Santina would have a better feel.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, well, let's move back up a little bit and maybe just go through some of the outreach and the connections. And I haven't had a chance to reach out to the first select woman, but I'll bring it up just briefly. Sarah, you did put that great article together about Wilson, the Wilson Street project, kind of like a press release article. I think you're going to find a couple of pictures to get ready to put them. Is there anything else that we need to do before we send that along? I'm not sure. I didn't send it to the rest of the group yet, did I?
No, I think it's final, but why don't I send you, make sure you have the final version and the pictures and the captions so everyone can take a look at it before we send it out. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great. So yeah, it was a great little piece about kind of the process that took place to do the Wilson Street intersection. And the first select woman, when I met with her several months ago, she said she would love to have that to put out there to the town of Fairfield updates. And, maybe we can even put it out to some of the press as a press release as well. And Mike, we could talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Great. I think next up would be the Sustainable Fairfield Task Force.
I had the opportunity to observe the Sustainable Fairfield Task Force last Wednesday. It was a great meeting, and I'm thrilled that Mary's here to add any comments about the meeting. Main focus seemed to be the task force's work to get the town of Fairfield recertified by Sustainable Connecticut. It was last certified in 2018, and updating the Fairfield Sustainability Plan. And looking at the certification, I was poking around on the website. The Complete Streets policy was a big part in 2018 of clean and diverse transportation systems and choices. So I think the committee has some contributions that we can make to helping to get this certification in place. I hope that we can use some of the things that we do to work toward that. So a lot of the discussion on January 13th focused on the plan for the task force to break up into smaller committees that will focus on various topics. And the one that's probably most relevant for us is transportation, but there are all committees on energy and built environment, food and waste, and natural environment. And then there are cross-cutting committees, which cover all areas on equity, communication, and outreach and advocacy. So this is how the group is going to split up in order to work towards updating the initiative for 2021. I'm hoping to be able to participate on the transportation group, but Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody on our committee could join any of these committees, correct?
Yeah, anybody in the town. We really want the sustainability plan to be owned by the whole town. So we encourage you, and we encourage you to encourage anyone in town to, join the subcommittees and be participants in any way possible. So yes.
So if you know anyone who's interested in any of these areas, this could be a great opportunity for people to get involved in a very important initiative. Also,
could you just run through really quickly what were the different task forces again?
Sure. The topic committees were energy and built environment, transportation, and food and waste. And I think there are also natural, I just want to correct my notes, make sure I've got the right thing. Hold on. Were there 3 of them on the topic side or 4? Was natural environment a separate one? Yeah, so it's energy and built environment, transportation, food and waste, and natural environment are the 4 topic committees. And the cross-cutting committees are equity, communication and outreach, and advocacy.
Mary, would those be listed in the minutes of your last meeting if we wanted to refer to that?
Yes, I'm copying. Why is that doing that? I'm trying to copy the link for you guys into the chat for you so that you have it. Is there a chat function in this? How do I do that?
Yeah,
oh, chat.
Yeah,
This goes at the bottom.
To the far right.
Oh yeah, it's a little thing. It looks like a little. Okay.
So it should be so that anyone who has the link can enter their name to be able to do that.
We need access. Oh, I just need to.
So that you can enter your name in there. And as people enter their name, I've been hoping to get in touch with them to put their it's not.
I'll send you a list so you have it for them, so you don't have to worry about taking everything down.
Sorry, anyone with the link.
Hey, thanks. Great. Well, thanks for joining that Sustainable Task Force, the Fairfield Task Force group. I appreciate that. Anything else, Linda or Mary?
Yeah, there were a lot of topics covered at the meeting, Keith. I won't go through everything. If anybody has any questions about some of the other initiatives, like the solar carport at Tomlinson, the Tomlinson solar carport, or other things, I'd be happy to talk to you. But one thing that I thought was particularly relevant for this committee was the Earth Day celebration. There will be a virtual Earth Day celebration. Unfortunately, I didn't get to participate last year, but I understand we're going to do another virtual one this year, and I think it would be a great opportunity if our committee can do something. So I'm going to do a little research, talk a little bit more to Mary, and maybe we can figure out something that the committee can do for that initiative. And that would be, Earth Day is Thursday, April 22nd. So it's sometime around then that we would have the virtual Earth Day, correct, Mary?
Yeah, Earth Day is always April 22nd, and just to segue into Arbor Day is always the last Friday of April. Just so you know, those are the 2 markers. We have decided to align with the YMCA, so we are whatever the YMCA is going to do their Healthy Kids Day, that's when we're going to align with them. And we had done an Earth Week last year, so we'll probably do an Earth Week. We had done a lunch hour webinar, and then we did, so that was more for like the adults, and then we did a 3:30, 4 o'clock kind of webinar for sort of like family fair kids kind of thing. So we that's what we did last year. It was sort of successful. It was very exhausting. I did all of them, and probably people were bored of me, but so we may do that again this year. I don't know, we haven't talked about it, but we'll see. But that's what we did last year. So we haven't convened our Earth Day group yet.
Okay, any questions from anybody? Mary, anything else you want that you think is of particular interest for the committee?
No, I sent something to Keith. I didn't get a chance to see it. That we didn't cover.
Oh, you sent it to me. I actually didn't get a chance to open it up, but you wanted to just mention it. I thought it was something with a film festival or something.
Yeah, that we didn't cover it in our meeting. There's a bike film festival that happens internationally every year that I can share. I'll forward it to you all after the meeting. That might be a fun thing. My friend on the committee, Sean O'Sullivan, we did a film festival one year that also exhausting, but Sean loves film festivals, and she thought that might be something that you might consider doing. It's specifically a bike film festival. So I will send it. I'll forward it all to you. You can take a look. You can see what you think. And her concept was to do something connected with Bridgeport to see if we can then encourage people to donate unused bikes for Bridgeport. So something to consider. So I'll forward that all to you, and you can consider it for your next meeting.
Great, thank you very much. All right, I'm not going to go through all of these, but I know maybe Karen, do you have any contact with the Forestry Committee? Anything you wanted to update with that?
Yes, I actually sat in a meeting on Tuesday morning with Mary, of course. And, it's very interesting. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Forestry Committee and what they do, but just the tree planting program alone, I think is just a fascinating thing where people they basically, there's 200 trees that they plant every year approximately. And people write in and request it, and then they are usually granted up to that number, and they can actually sort of request what kind of tree they want, of which I thought, and Mary can speak more to this too, I thought it was fascinating that they're just creating now on what trees they're planting where and the success of those trees. So what trees are surviving, who are not, and it's very interesting, and just the benefits of having all these trees. I mean, there's a lot of people who feel that when the trees go down, we shouldn't replace it, that we should just have this zero-scape landscape. But the benefits are huge, and it would just be awful if there weren't some of those trees replaced. So I thought that was really interesting. Jeff Miner was also talking all about the tree trimming and how that goes on, and that Mary could speak much better to that because there's a lot of information there that I'm still trying to understand. But essentially, the kind of back and forth of what United Illuminating is doing and what they say they're doing and what they actually are doing, and the effects that has on many of the trees. And I think he was also, just talking about some of the trimming that's going to be done around the area, Tunxus Hill and Stratfield in particular, that will happen this spring. And the other thing I think that was interesting is they discussed the community theater landscaping and what they'll be looking to do. And that whole front area, which has usually had a few trees, and it really is central. It is our downtown. And it looks like what they're thinking is something very minor, or what I would say minor, no trees, just some low shrubs. And it sounded like the general feeling of the whole committee was that they needed to put some trees there, that it would be a lot more welcoming if there were some trees. But I also think that is a spot in which it's very important that we make sure that there are bike racks put in there.
Right.
And not the ornamental ones, but actual bike racks, so people will understand what they're used for. And Mary, I really would love you to add in anything, because I'm sure I'm butchering the meeting information.
Well, it's interesting to hear what resonated. One thing that is historic that happened was that Pura ruled against UI, and they are no longer allowed to do their very abusive program they called TRM. I don't even remember what it stands for anymore. I thought it for something risk management. Anyway, they're not allowed to do it, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't exist. Targeted risk management, where they were supposed to be only allowed to trim trees that had contact directly on the electric wires that were on the very top. And they were allowed in other towns. Luckily, we have Jeff Minder, who wouldn't allow it, to clear cut from the ground to the sky 20 feet with the pole in the middle. So they were basically clear cutting trees, and or they were butchering trees to the point where they were causing hazardous trees, so that when there were storms, they were causing trees to fall over and causing damage and causing outages. So we have more to fight. We are causing Fairfield to actually be safer, and so people don't realize just how stressful a tree warden's job is. But it's a very stressful job. I had no idea until I got into being on the forestry committee. You would think being a tree warden would be fun. You're out with the trees. You're really nice, but it's actually they're in court and being sued all the time. It's unbelievable. So there's that. So just thank your tree warden whenever you see him. Thank all your municipal fellows whenever you see, or gals whenever you see them. But yes,
Definitely.
we plant between 200 and 300 trees in public spaces every year. So, and now in the last 4 years, since we've taken over the tree planting program by the committee, in terms of the public interface, we have decided to now do evaluations, and we're working with folks at Sacred Heart. We're working with Dr. Senbal, I forget her name. And she has a Weston high school sophomore doing our programming, which is just off the charts amazing. And they're doing data analysis for us. So we're able to interface with the USDA iTree program to be able to monetize how much a particular tree is worth if we can get certain data points. So we are going to be going before the town bodies to be able to tell them how much planting trees are worth. And that's where the nexus of Complete Streets and your program, your committee is interfacing with our committee.
And by worth, what Mary means is how much oxygen it gives out, everything else. It's price value. It's price value to the environment.
Yeah, how much water it infiltrates, how much it absorbs, how much CO2 it sequesters, NOx, SOx, all that stuff. Yeah, how much shade, how much fuel.
They're huge traffic calming components.
That it doesn't measure, actually.
It doesn't measure? Oh.
No, that it doesn't measure.
But they are when they're along the sides of the road.
Well, contact the USDA and see if you can get them.
Contact the who?
If you like you. Yes. But it can measure.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you,
thank
Mary.
you guys very much. I'm not sure, you probably can see the list from the agenda, but I'm not sure if there's anybody else that wants to, kind of step up. Nate, just so you know, we kind of went through last time and people volunteered to kind of be the main point of contact for certain groups. And so if there was anything that's either not on this list or things that you're interested in, or if people want to switch, I'm fine with it. It's just kind of a way to make sure we have at least one person that's reaching out to various different things. So I'm just going to kind of turn it over to others and see if you have any comments.
What is this blank one, the POCD?
That's Emmeline Harris. It's I never always forget the acronym. It's
Plan of Comprehensive Development, I believe.
Conservation and Development, and actually, Plan of Conservation and Development. And if you're interested, put on your calendar January 27th, 6:30. They're having a meeting on it. They haven't been able to talk about it, and her name is Emmeline Harrigan, and she is a rock star. And you have to work with her. She's super. She's wonderful to work with.
And does you said it was January 27th was the meeting?
Yeah, 6:30.
Okay. 6:30. Okay. And then does anybody want to be the main point of contact for that?
She's wonderful to work with. Whoever picks that one, you'll be very happy. I'm not kidding. She's great.
Again, just send me an email. Send me an email if you want, and also the Parks and Rec or things like that. Anybody else? I know Jay. Hopefully, maybe between you and Ann, we can get somebody with the police department and police commission.
Well, I reached out to Alyssa Israel, and we made contact to make a further date to talk about sort of the approach, and she being well versed in that. So I'm planning that for, I hope, next week. But yes,
okay,
police
good.
commission.
When you're talking to her, maybe just ask about the board of realtors, because I'm not sure, Sarah, if you ever heard back from Mike Traum or, but I know Alyssa's also a realtor, so she was the one originally that sent me that thing with like some grant for those little pocket parks and.
Right, that was in the minutes, and I can't remember what it was called. I'll take a look.
I'm trying to. Yeah, I apologize. I didn't actually directly reach out to her. I reviewed the information, but I can do that tomorrow. Get on it right away.
Do you want to mention that really quickly to the group? That was one of the coolest ideas, that like the parking spot takeover. I thought that was a great idea, and it'd be perfect for some of the downtown areas, even Stratfield Road or something like that. But yeah, maybe just mention that. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. So there's two grant levels. There's a $1,500 grant level and a $5,000 grant level, and there's different criteria for each. But they have examples, obviously, of projects they funded in the past. And one is a parking space takeover, where a space that's usually reserved for a parking space for a car, they block it off and turn it into a community space. They might set up benches and plantings and make it look really cool. And I can send examples out so that people can just gather and use it, take back the space for people, instead of just, a place for a car to sit while other people aren't using it. So there's some pretty neat examples. People have done everything from very basic stuff with pallets to getting very artistic in what they do. And it's just a way, people sit there and play chess or cards or have a picnic or whatever.
It might be something to send also to Santina, because maybe part of her grant money could be like a traveling parking spot takeover for health and well-being, and so it could be moved. Something that could be kind of set up and then taken apart and then moved.
Yeah.
It's like a week here and a week there, and I thought that was kind of some of the pictures that you had in there were pretty interesting. It was a neat little idea.
Yeah. It just shows, it shows the public how those kinds of parking spaces can be so much more better utilized for public benefit than just housing a car. And it could really be a community space. So it's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
But not commercial, right? Not used by a storefront or a sidewalk vendor or some other.
No, it's open to everybody. This is something that usually a town or an organization opens just to the public. It's not like a sidewalk cafe where it's a restaurant that uses it only for its customers. That's
right. I mean, having worked in New Haven for a long time, they began that about 2 years ago, where they took over spaces, but the establishments right on that spot would take them over, basically bars and restaurants and So maybe we can get some buskers going.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, doesn't Fairfield have some kind of day of music, live music? You
June 21st.
June 21st.
Used to be, yeah.
So you could try to coordinate it with around something like that.
And that was all based on getting a a store or retailer or someone to offer their space, but a parking space would be perfect, frankly, as long as you don't get hit by a car.
Well, and I mean, if you're looking for a parking space that might be considered more neutral, I mean, there's some in front of the library that could pop that where I wouldn't feel like you were taking it away from a realtor, not a realtor, a retail establishment.
Right.
So, yeah.
Hey, maybe it's an idea for the Old Post Road to have something temporary that goes, those really wide shoulders where, you like put a little, like a pocket area to relax by one of the churches or by the Burr Mansion or something like that. Might be an idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
To have something, that still allows the bikes to go by, maybe, but allows a little people to kind of sit out and
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. So I'll reach out to Alyssa and let you know what she says.
All right, great. One of the other ones was the kind of maybe taking a second look at the bike ped master plan. I know Ann was going to kind of just take a look at it, but that might be a larger project for a future kind of a 2022 update to it or something like that. So. And I'm not sure, Ann, if you had any time for that, but.
Hello?
Yeah. I hear you.
On my things to, I have not, but that's the one that I think that I would be able to kind of make more headway on than, as opposed to, the POCD type thing.
Yeah, and I would be interested in potentially tag teaming that with you if you're game.
Yeah.
I do think it's a rather large task, and it's the thing that jumped out at me on the list. And to be frank, I don't have a ton of time for a formal, just with work for an initial meeting every month. But like it's you and I, I'm sure we could find an hour or something like that to connect and figure out how we want to do things. So
yeah, sure, great.
You've been signed up. You don't have to ask me.
Careful what you wish for.
That's right. Let me see. Anything else? I mean, I think we don't really have, there's nothing else really on the agenda. I did email Ed Lane just to see how he was doing. He came back to the States for a bit, and I think he's back in England, so he's doing well, and he wanted to say hi to everybody. I actually sent him a picture that my sister found of him from high school with loads and loads of wavy blonde hair. So that's why I got in touch with him.
Put that on the agenda for next time, Keith.
All right, I'll send a picture around to everybody. Yeah, Ann, go ahead.
I was just going to say, regardless of politics, I'm very excited about the possibility of Pete Buttigieg being the transportation secretary, because he's very into complete streets and all things bicycles and pedestrians. So I'm hoping that more money comes and more, knowledge about such things, and things are looking up in that.
Amen.
Yep.
He was pretty impressive today. Some of his I think he was under questioning, but he was pretty good.
Yeah.
I have a nephew who works in his organization.
Oh, nice.
Keith, I wanted to just mention one thing about the POCD, or Plan of Conservation and Development. It's a requirement that it gets updated or rewritten every 10 years. So this is your 10-year block. So I just wanted to make sure you understood the importance, because no one signed up. So this is a once in a decade chance for you to get your say. So that's how important it is for you guys to figure out who wants to get on that chance to work with the rock star of Emmeline Harrigan.
Yeah, I'm
So.
going to try, Mary. I'm going to try.
Listen, I know Emmeline quite well. I've worked with her. I might be interested in doing this, but I don't really know what the bike committee wants me to do with this. You know, what does this involve?
I think you want to promote your complete
Contact
streets policy.
And
Yeah, two people were talking at the same time. I didn't hear either one.
go ahead, Mary, and then I'll stay.
For the things that I am trying to work with her on, I'm trying to promote what our plans are. So from my perspective, you want to make sure the complete streets is totally embedded into POCD.
And how would I go about that?
I would say just contact Emmeline. I've met with her about 2 years ago, and she's very, very, very friendly and easy to work with. But
No, I've worked with her on a couple of things. We know each other quite well. I've been to meetings with her. So that's not a problem. I'm just wondering what the process is. Do I have to attend all of the meetings that she holds? Do I have to make time with her in her office? You know, what's the approach one uses to get this accomplished?
You know, again, I'm not sure when it's actually going to be finished being updated, but I would say just the initial reach out and then make sure that there's a contact between us and her, and if there's anything that we need to get to her or information that she needs, that we can kind of go from there. So just to make the initial contact would be the first step.
I can do that much, certainly.
All right, great, thanks.
I'm just not willing to go to all of the meetings on the POCD.
No, I understand.
That's more than I would be signing up for.
All right, well, good. All right, I think that I have nothing else. So if anybody has anything, speak now.
Can I just make it's just a thought, and I don't know where we've gone with this, because it has to do with, you know, I was thinking about the idea of student help and, you know, some younger people involved. What is our social media presence, or is it not at all? Because it would be great to have, to find a way to maybe excite somebody about joining us as a volunteer intern who could, you know, get the word out in some way. I don't know what it would be or how frequently, but it just seems that it's not active at all right now. And it sure would help, especially as summer, you know, spring and summer start coming.
So yeah, Ed had done some of that for us, and with his departure, I don't think much has happened, but that is a fantastic idea if we can get an intern or volunteer.
Yeah.
Do we have the logins and the access to those accounts? So I know there's a Twitter, there's a Facebook, and an Instagram.
I don't personally have. I think Ed may have sent me some stuff. I have to just double check. I can always reach out to him because I'm in touch with him. But yeah, we definitely need to gather that a little bit better. And he was the one that did all of it. I honestly don't know. So
I don't know if there was an Instagram. I think it was just Facebook and Twitter. That's just my memory.
Yeah, I remember the Facebook and Twitter, but not sure about Instagram either. So
that's one of the things that we can. I'm not sure. I can ask Jennifer Carpenter if we can put that in one of the Select Women's updates, because there's a section on there that says like get involved, and it has openings for various committees and stuff. And so, I mean, that's one of the things we could do is just outreach and just ask if, you know, if what's the best way to do it. Now, Karen, I know you were really active in a lot of the parent, you know, boards and things like that. I'm not sure if there's a way to reach out to students that might want to get involved.
Yeah, it's tricky, but I can talk to a few people who might have ideas. I mean, but the only thing is obviously we want to go to both the high schools. So I think that would be our best avenue. And it's just finding the right person, finding the right connection with the right teacher, and then seeing if we can find someone. And then commitment is another thing. Sometimes, you know, can we get a student who's actually going to commit for a period of time? I mean, it's tricky, you know, to manage something like that.
On the other hand, you've probably got a lot of kids who are not going to be playing sports, and there might be some real, you know, superstars there. And I wonder if they may have you know, maybe people have contacted the Select Women's office about, you know, I'd love to do something. Do you have anything for me? And maybe there's a sort of waiting list of candidates. Who knows?
You know,
Not,
the other thing, they had an intern last year, the town of Fairfield, she was the one that did our updates to the website and everything. And I think they said they hired her because she's taking classes from home. She goes to Cornell or something like that, which they hired her for the year. So let me ask about that. I mean, even to get started, and she might be able to reach out to people that have contacted, because she's doing like a lot of social media and web stuff for the town. I'm fairly sure they hired her for the year, though. I'll ask.
well, if we could get a piece of her, so to speak, that would be, that would be a start.
Yeah.
In terms of, here's another bit of outreach that, another group could use you for. The one last thing sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say, I'm not sure if you remembered a few months ago, I kind of gave a shout out to her by name in one of my emails with the agenda. And Jennifer told me that she read that and was really, really excited and happy to be recognized. So if nothing else, we've generated some goodwill.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Jay.
The last, I don't know, I think I mentioned it to you, Keith, but there's a group which I was not aware of called watchformect.org. I mean, they have a website.org, but it's a safety advocacy organization, and I've sent 2 emails with no response, but they are Hartford based, and they're affiliated with a children's hospital or children's therapy organization. And I wasn't sure, having only been on the committee a couple of years, whether they had been part of any meetings in the past or anyone's ever heard about them.
Not
I guess
to my
not.
knowledge.
Yeah, I just one Sunday morning I caught literally a 15-second PSA on CBS Sunday morning, and it was really the shortest public service announcement you'd ever see, but it was really effective, and they're all about they use the Kinetic Yukon database and all the things that we've talked about, and I just wonder, I've reached out, but I haven't had any luck getting anyone to respond, and I think it's run by one person, and she's got a full-time job somewhere else too. So
Yeah,
it might be
do a lot of.
hard to get.
I follow them on Facebook, and they have a lot of things like when I would ride the train, they would have posters at the train station and things, and they're good. They're very effective.
Yeah, it's a pretty slick website with lots of great, I mean, not slick, but very effective and smart and multiple pages and multiple bits of information and great graphics and presentation. And I just wonder, how we kind of get in touch or work with them somehow. But
And just like redirecting what they put out to people in Fairfield. So.
Exactly, right. Retweet, repost, whatever it might be. Yeah.
Jay, what was the name of it again?
It's Watch for Me CT.
And there's the number 4?
Yes, no, Watch for Me, like FOR, Watch for Me CT.
Oh.
And
Wow.
yeah, it's really, I was impressed, but I haven't gotten anybody to kind of, say, yes, we're here. What can we do for you? But it would be great to connect somehow.
Definitely. And continue to try to keep outreaching to them. That would be great.
Yeah. I'll try.
All right. Great. Thanks. Anything else? All right, then. Looks like we've lost Bill, so.
He snuck away.
Motion to adjourn from Mike. Mike, anybody want to second that? Linda has everybody seconding it. I vote Linda first. So.
Okay.
All right, all in favor. All right, I'm going to stop recording.